And I know we always talk about mentorship, we always talk about sponsorship, but there's a reason why. There's a reason why there is an emphasis on giving a hand, showing the way. And to be quite honest, that's one of the reasons why today I am so passionate about representation. Because ultimately, later on in life, as I progressed in my career, I was able to help back and see, all of those young engineers or female Latinas, early talent coming at E10 or Medtronic or any other circuit company that I was working with, to be able to say, hey, I've been through this. I know exactly what it feels. This is how you manage through, and this is how you can move forward. So I would say it's just so invaluable, so valuable to have that hand and that power of our community showing up in that way.
Our voices, stories, and experiences are powerful and need to be shared to create a more inclusive world. Welcome to Hablemos, conversations with talented humans about inclusion, leadership, and purpose. I'm your host, Carolina Veira, finance and business strategist, DEI champion, and proud Latina. I'm also the Director of Partnerships at CareMax, where I lead initiatives to promote the value of healthcare, education, inclusion, entrepreneurship, and community engagement, while fostering partnerships with other corporations and organizations in the U.S. This episode features Esther Ledesma, Global Portfolio Manager at Medtronics. Esther has held several engineering and marketing roles across the U.S. for various Fortune 500 companies. Originally from the Dominican Republic, she is a twice published author and an active advocate for education, diversity, and equity in her community. Esther, how are you today? Thank you so much. Esther Ledesma Umarol, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Carolina. Hi, everyone. Hola. Thank you so much for having me today and giving me the opportunity to chat with you and, of course, share some of my insights and experiences.
No, it's great to have you. You have a beautiful story. You're part of Hispanic Stars Rising, Volume 1. And Esther's story is on page 129. And we're going to be discussing a little bit about that because your story is very powerful and very similar to many of us who have to accept change and evolve and grow with it and love it, right? And you are proof of that, and you're talented, and there's so much to talk about. So why don't we start by the beginning? Tell us more about you, where you come from, who you are, all that beautiful story about Esther.
Yeah, thank you. So as you said, Dominicana de pura cepa, soy from Santo Domingo, born and raised, went to school there from very humble beginnings in one of the West Barrios, or barrios on the west side of Santo Domingo, and grew up with my family, my mom and my brother and sister. I think it's important for me to say, as well as part of my story. So my dad immigrated to the U.S. Early in my when I was about 9 or so. So that really framed and impacted on one end, the perspective about the whole idea of coming to the US and what that meant, and was it good, was it bad? But then as well, understanding and help, I guess, all the listeners as well to understand how all that impacted then my experience later in life. I went to school back in Dominican Republic and studied industrial design. And I started my career as a drafter locally with E10 Corporation. And then because of that immigration story that I told you about that has influenced my family, all my family left Dominican Republic, and I was left, over there saying, I'm gonna continue working and trying to make a way for myself. But I mean, if si no tienes dinero and you don't have the influence, it's a very challenging thing. So I decided to immigrate to the US back in 2012 and, left my job, left anything like many of us we have done, try to pack my life in three bags and came here to the US. And afterwards, it's been just a snowball of trying to improve myself and be the best I can be, especially because how much that immigration story and that experience early in life impacted me. I was able to get a job within a month, which meant for me that I had to move to a completely new state without knowing anybody, leave my family behind, and then from there subsequently just continue growing and having the opportunity to say yes to all the challenges that came around, and assuming experiences or taking the opportunity to accept challenges. And obviously not easy, and we can expand on that as well. But I guess most recently and where I am now in life, I work as a global portfolio manager for Medtronic. I'm located in Minneapolis, Minnesota, one of the few Dominicans over here. And I'm also the chair for the Hispanic and Latino network here at Medtronic for the Twin Cities, and the chair for the Hispanic Heritage Month Committee at Medtronic that puts together all the celebration and initiatives for Medtronic in the US and Latin America. So that's a little bit about me, and thank you so much again for having me.
No, thank you for being here. But I love that you're celebrating, and I'm sure that it's going to be a beautiful celebration around Hispanics. And thank you for doing that. Thank you for taking the lead there. But now tell me more about what, obviously you're successful. And obviously success is different for every person, but I do see you as a successful young Latina professional. What do you think has been that defining factor for you to be successful, to be that successful Latina?
Thank you for that question. I think that for me, it's been just early in life being impacted by limited resources, being impacted by understanding that if I wanted to grow up or actually achieve growth or be something for myself, I needed to step up. I needed to make sure that my voice was heard. I needed to make sure that things around me that were not necessarily collaborated, or for example, spaces designed to receive me or help me or support me, needed to change. And that's, I feel, one of the things that I take most pride of, that I am the type of person that will say, if I want to see something different, I will be the one that will walk the talk. I'm not going to just be complaining or, just going with the flow. And I think that's one of the main reasons why I am here today and where I'm at, not only at Medtronic, but with different, community organizations and impacting people in the way that I have. It's been from that willingness and that desire of see change coming to life.
You're an agent of change. And we should be proud of having those agents of change within our communities, at work, so people that we can look up to and people that we can follow their lead. And then in that way, we become those leaders too, because we need people to and have examples so we can learn from those examples. So thank you for being that agent of change, and obviously for really trusting your voice. And that's my next question for you is about your voice, because I know that in the book you described that in some instances you were the only one who looked like you, talked like you, not that you talk any different than anybody else, but there's a certain flavor to the way we all every Hispanic talks, every other Hispanic talks. So how did you manage to own and recognize that your voice had that power, and how did you manage to elevate your voice and speak up when you needed to?
That's a great question. So I'll say that at the beginning was not easy, especially if I look back to my first job. I was working as a product development engineer, probably the only Latina on site, one of the few females too. And all the probably microaggressions, all the things that we talk today about, be mindful, unconscious bias, all of those things, probably I was the example from the book. And one of the things that I can say that really helped me manage, and not only, I'm not going to say come out of it, because even today we confront similar situations, but learn my way and trust my voice, like you said, was the opportunity of having people around me that would look out and show me the way. And by that, I mean sponsors, mentors, people that could see themselves in what I was confronting, or people that, even if they were not Hispanic or Latinos, but were female engineers, or were in similar, power positions, or a position that I would say could help and offer that element of trust, that really, really made a difference into how I approach the whole thing. And I know we always talk about mentorship, we always talk about sponsorship, but there's a reason why. There's a reason why there is an emphasis on giving a hand, showing the way. And to be quite honest, that's one of the reasons why today I am so passionate about representation. Because ultimately, later on in life, as I progressed in my career, I was able to help back and see, all of those young engineers or female Latinas, early talent coming at E10 or Medtronic or any other circuit company that I was working with, to be able to say, hey, I've been through this. I know exactly what it feels. This is how you manage through, and this is how you can move forward. So I would say it's just so invaluable, so valuable to have that hand and that power of our community showing up in that way.
Hi everybody, hola a todos, this is Carolina. I personally would like to invite you to be part of Hablemos by heading over to carolinaveira.com/Hablemos to sign up today. And while you're there, take a look at my DEI initiatives and discover how we can all be agents of change by creating sustainable projects through a DEI lens, and by sharing and celebrating our authentic stories and experiences while leading with compassion and empathy. You know what? I always mention how important sponsorship is, because I'm just like you. I think that the majority, or the most, for the most part, the reason why I am here personally, and whatever, then again, my definition of success is different from yours, but I think of myself as, hey, I am the product of those opportunities, of those people who speak up and who say, hey, you know what, who would be good for this project? Have you thought of Carolina? Let's give her a chance, right? And then you, obviously, once you're there, you becoming that sponsor. I think that's how we all grow. That's how we all can elevate each other. And in our case, it's not only about what you said. It's not only about being Hispanic or being any other race. It's more about being, of support, a network of support for everyone around you, everyone who wants to succeed. So thank you for mentioning that, and thank you for making sure that we know that more sponsors are needed, more allies are needed, more mentors are needed, because truly that is one of the key elements to success other than education. And I think that's why you are where you are, because you had those opportunities, but you also fought for those opportunities.
Right. No, agree, totally agree. And I think I want to connect that thought with the importance of, especially us in corporate America, connecting with the organizations outside of corporate America that are making a difference on elevating and bringing up, if you will, the talent from college students, high school students, because all these generations that are growing up and are coming up to the workforce are gonna be confronting similar challenges, maybe different challenges, but they are gonna follow on our steps, right? Yeah. And that's the importance of being able to say, hey, I'm here, I know what you're going through. And even if, maybe you're not able to sponsor or mentor somebody, but are you able to join an ERG? Are you able to communicate and disseminate within your team information about unconscious bias or things that are able to drive more inclusion, more diversity, and more equity into the team.
And is that why you're part of all these organizations and you focus on representation so much?
Yes. Yeah. And I'll just put a quick plug for potentially one of the organizations that has meant the most to me here as I started my career in the US, and it's SHEP, the Society of Professional of Hispanic Engineers, because I would just say that is the prime organization for us leaders in corporate America, outside of corporate America, to connect with students from Hispanic and Latino backgrounds in STEM careers, specifically where we know we lack representation of. And being able to bring those students, connect them to show them, hey, there's engineer managers that look like you. There are leaders, vice presidents inside the US, globally, that look like you. It really makes a difference and change the way that perspective is created around, hey, I was hesitant about finishing college, but guess what? Now I know that there could be a path. There's something that I found or seen more than anything that could be interesting for me as a student, for example, to move forward. And that is the power. That is genuinely the power of partnering and connecting with those organizations locally and nationally.
And I can only imagine, like what you mentioned, we all go through those moments of doubt and doubting who we are or what we bring to the table. So, and we're adults and we have, jobs and a life. But imagine for a teenager who's going through all these additional transitions and, the changes and growth, internal, external, everything changing around them, how difficult, and then thinking, oh, I'm not good enough for a STEM career. Mm-hmm. So the fact that they have the exposure to an organization like that, where they can learn from people like you, it means the world. I mean, just one interaction can really change dramatically the life of, these kids, the teenagers. And even if they're not teenagers and they're a little older than that, you can still impact their life.
Yeah, and it happens at every level. And I think in summary, this is why at Medtronic this month, this Hispanic Heritage Month, our theme has been the power of one community. And it's just highlighting precisely that, how we can all come together and do powerful things. It doesn't need to be big. It doesn't need to be, expensive. It can be all the smallest things that we can think of that happen in our daily interactions with people inside, outside of work. And there's really power in those things. And it doesn't matter if I'm Dominicana, si soy Puertorriqueña, if I'm from, immigrant, if I am third, second generation Hispanic or Latino, it all comes down to that. And I think that's the importance of continuing to highlighting that legacy, if you will.
Yeah, and then again, those allies that we can find everywhere, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be just Latinos speaking to Latinos. Obviously, there's a different tone there. There's that representation that we're talking about, but we need allies everywhere. So I can't wait to learn more about the Hispanic celebration, the Hispanic Heritage Month celebration that you're having at Medtronic. I hope that I hope you send me more information there. I think it's going to be amazing. Hopefully, you said that's part of your ERG, right? That's what the celebration has been managed by the ERG. So
we have what we call a network at the national level, and there's a team of people, because as you know, it takes a village. There's a team of people across the US working at every level of the organization, and we've put together a full month programming looking at highlighting different elements from like celebrating our culture to personal and professional development, up until engaging and having an impact in the community by contributing with nonprofits and just engaging in the causes that we care about. Like, for example, the impact of COVID within the Hispanic and Latino community. Mm-hmm. So we have awareness sessions, donations, and some activities that are going to help us close gaps and as well get people closer, if you will, on a virtual manner to those causes.
And like you said, it doesn't have to take a whole lot of time or a whole lot of resources, but it takes a lot of passion and a lot of love to give back and to do more. Now, obviously, you have a lot of passion. You have a lot of commitment to the community. And you have a lot of commitment towards you and your growth and your professional development. How was that transition from engineering to marketing? Like, that's a very curious transition. I love it. By the way, I think it's I don't know if it's a different side of the brain, but that you have to use, or maybe a combination of both. But obviously, engineering, marketing, how did you connect both of them and make it happen for you?
Yeah, that's a great question, and probably not something I speak a lot about. So I guess to provide some background, when I was working as an engineer on a product development specifically, we were able to connect and really kick off development projects in early stages with connecting with VOC, what we call voice of customers, which meant that we linked up and connect very closely with marketing folks. So that was sort of my first impression, or my first interaction with the marketing group. And I really felt a lot of passion around capturing customer needs and ensuring that we could deliver products that were truly answering those needs. Because as you may know, one of the main problems is that sometimes marketers say, yeah, let's move forward with a product, capture customer needs, and then by the time engineering has it, and then production finish it, and then quality comes out of it, it's a totally different solution from what the customer was expecting or even needed. So that whole interaction there triggering me, I would say, a phase of how do I even can add value on that? So I started actually commenting in a way and chatting with my mentors at the moment, and just going through a process of understanding, how does this support my long-term plan? How does this help where I want to be? And I knew that 12 years from that point out where I wanted to have a leadership position and ideally run an organization, a team. So connecting that intention with my personal needs and development needs allow me to pinpoint that marketing as a natural step. However, it didn't come without challenges, I had to, on one end, I decided to go back to school. So I got my first master's from the Rochester Institute of Technology on product development, which is a program combining business and engineering courses. So I went back to school, and then I started doing stretch assignments within my organization. And all of that was possible because people decided to allow me to do it, right? I chatted with leaders, chatted with managers, and my sponsors advocated for me on that. And that allowed me to then introduce myself, to later be able to defend myself in an interview and say, hey, I can be a product manager. I can be in a marketing space.
Let me highlight two things.
Yeah.
Kudos to that organization that allow you and invested in you, because that doesn't happen all the time. Mm-hmm. It does happen with bigger organizations, but it's still a commitment on them to help you grow, because maybe you're not going to dedicate the time that they need you to dedicate to a particular project. Kudos to you for trying it. I know it takes work. Yeah. It takes work. It's not easy because you have to manage and so many things, but how amazing it is that you had that opportunity. I mean, it's great. And I can see that now you need to go for finance. Go back to school for
yeah, exactly, which I did. I later went back and got an MBA just because I needed to round out my experience. And it's really helped as well, because if I want to be a manager of an organization, run a business unit, for example, I needed to have that financial background. And being able to stamp that MBA on my resume, it really made a difference, because I feel like as you continue growing in the marketing field, it does come to play, and you will need it eventually, especially if you're in a company like Medtronics too.
No, that's great. And you never stop learning, right? You always have to be learning something new, certification, something. and then eventually you'll be the CEO, and
we're all done. Yeah.
Of not only this organization, but a few. Absolutely. So who knows, right? The sky's the limit. I love that. I love it. So let me ask you, Esther. So now you're obviously managing a group of people. Leading is not easy. Leading is it's great. It's a great opportunity, but there's also challenges there, especially when you're interacting with different backgrounds, different people, different stories. What type of leader do you consider yourself at this point? Yeah. And remember, leading evolves with you, right? You're not necessarily the same type of leader you were 10 years ago or 5 years ago or 1 year ago, for that matter, before pandemic, post-pandemic. So what type of leader do you think you are? Do you consider yourself? Yeah, that's a great question. And so I guess to clarify my answer, right now, even if I don't have a direct reports, I do lead a lot by influence. So all the people I work with and all the teams I lead are literally just by influence. So indirectly, if you will. So I call myself an inclusive leader at this point in life, or at this phase in life. I believe a lot into empathy and the important role that it plays in a team, and ensuring that all voices are heard, but at the same time ensuring that we can keep a direction and have a clear focus of where we're going. So, I tend to obviously love working with teams and people. And I side note, that's one of the reasons why I have struggled the most with working remotely, just the lack of physical interaction and talking to people on the hallway, or just like looking forward to going back to a meeting. But ideally, at the end of the day, it's all about people. It's all about ensuring that they feel seen, they feel heard, and that, they can bring their value and their personalities to the table. Because ultimately, it's a village, right? It's a team, and we are working forward to a common goal that ultimately will make our organization, our products, and even in the case of Medtronic, which is delivering products to our patients, continue to improve life and save lives as well. Absolutely, because you are only as strong as your weakest link, right? I mean, the way that countries, organizations grow, it's by taking care of the most vulnerable. Yeah. So the fact that you are that type of leader speaks volumes, not only of you, but also the type of organization that you're a part of. So it's great work, the one that you're doing. Truly, it's important to highlight good organizations as well. Believe me, there's not too many of those out there, but doing great things, and the proof is in their people, right? And also how they treat their staff, what they're doing for the community, what they're doing for their patients. So it's great. Now, obviously, you are that type of leader. You believe in being an empath. You believe in putting yourself in the shoes of others. What do you think it's one of those life stories that really shape you into thinking that way? And I know that you transitioned from DR to the US, and that has to most likely play a big role in your life. But maybe there's another story also that it's out there that really shape you and made you that leader that you are today. I think it's probably, or most likely, the product of two things. One, my internal family, my mom, playing a key role into shaping my willingness to lead, to step forward. Because like I said before, with my dad immigrating early in life, she had to take that leadership role in our family, like many other immigrants' families outside of the US. So seeing that in her has truly impacted me and shaped, my perspective about taking that role in leading for others. And second, I would say as well, just the desire to be able to uplift and amplify the voices of people that are not necessarily heard, are not represented. Because I was one of them. I am one of them, right? In many cases, and having one of them. So just being on those shoes, and like I said before, with my intention of saying, I'm not the one that will see. I want to be the change that I want to see happen.
has just made me move forward. And, as I said, it hasn't been easy, it hasn't been pretty as well, every step, but it has been definitely worth it.
And you know what? That is also worth mentioning, Esther, because sometimes we think that for those people who are there making things happen, everything has been, oh, it's so great. I mean, look at that person has been it's so successful. It's been so easy for her or him. And it's not necessarily the truth all the way. Yes, you've been presented opportunities, but you were also ready for those opportunities. You also fought for those opportunities. You met people, like you said, you shadow people to learn how to be ready for the opportunities. So I think that the more conversations I have with leaders like yourself, the more I realize that we need to talk about the struggles too. We need to mention that it takes work, it takes courage, but it also takes a little bit of blood, sweat, and tears, right? Yeah. To accomplish what you want. And it's only as much time and commitment you dedicate to what you want, it's what you're going to get in return.
I couldn't I couldn't agree more, because like you said, it hasn't been easy. And I know, our immigration story of many of us, or if not all of us, hasn't been easy either. So I think ultimately it's just a matter of acknowledging that and taking that resilience and just moving forward, because that's also part of our culture, part of who we are. We're not here to play around. And I think that transpires as well through all of the aspects of my life and what I do as a person.
The sky is the limit for you, Esther. I can see it. I hope to be connected to you through LinkedIn to see where you are. And when you become that CEO, I'm going to be like, I knew it, that was going to happen. I can see it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And thank you for representing all of us. And thank you for, putting this huge celebration at Medtronic. Please keep up with me and send me pictures, because I would love to share the great news, because it's like I mentioned before, it's great to also validate those organizations who are celebrating Hispanics within their organization, within their staff, and elevating them as well. So thank you for all the work that you do. And if people want to reach out to you, how do they go about it?
Well, they can obviously connect with me through LinkedIn, or send me an email, which is also my LinkedIn profile. I'm generally very open and, very transparent. So I'll be more than happy to connect with anybody.
And you're willing to share your story with any other organizations, I would imagine, and any companies or It's a beautiful story. So I want to thank you for your time today. It's been a pleasure to connect with you and to learn more about you. And I'm sure that people out there have enjoyed this conversation as much as I have. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for what you're doing. And thank you, everybody, for connecting with us. Thank you for tuning in. And we'll see you next time. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our podcast today. And also send me a DM at Caro Veira. Share the love, share the comments, share the thoughts. Special thanks to our partners at the Hispanic Star and Catuna Digital Marketing. Gracias mil. Thank you for listening, everybody, and we'll be back next time with a new episode of Hablemos. Ciao.